The XP will accelerate from 0 to 60 in an incredible 1.6 seconds on the dyno and 3.7 seconds on the road. I looked it up out of curiosity, and that's actually about the same 0 to 60 as a Ferrari F50. So. I've been probably professionally designing and building motorcycles for 6 years now. I started in 2014 when I moved from London to San Francisco. I am originally an industrial designer. I trained at the Royal College of Art in London and have been an industrial designer for about 25 years. But also, in parallel to that, I've also been a motorcycle rider. And then so I guess moving to California, which is the epicenter of custom culture, seemed like the ideal opportunity to do a career shift and channel my energies into designing and making motorcycles. When I started, quite typical of my process, I stripped the motorcycle down to the kind of bare bones. And the interesting thing is actually with an electric motorcycle, once you've stripped all that down, it still runs. I mean, there's really not a lot you need to put on a bike. And at the beginning of the project, I had a small existential crisis because I thought, there's literally nothing I can do here, that's really kind of meaningful beyond just some sort of slightly empty styling exercise. But I'd done some experiments with the motorcycle, and I realized that one of the things you do need to retain is surfaces for you to grip with your knees, because that's very helpful for controlling the motorcycle. And that idea of control surfaces became a kind of central theme and morphed into two things, like machine control surfaces and human control surfaces. I wanted to create a design language that was very characteristically and unmistakably electric. One of the challenges from a design perspective with the electric was how do you replace all of those kind of elements and those kind of characteristics and those lovely kind of materials and kind of details that people really like in combustion engines. I love in combustion engines. Like, how do you make this not just solely a reductive process where all we're doing is taking stuff away that you like and not replacing it with anything. And then the other challenge was, if you're not going to mimic the gasoline vernacular, which is kind of the easy route to do, what do you do? And so I think that's where some of my industrial design training came in. I was able to almost design the motorcycle as if motorcycles had never been designed. That was kind of the intention. One way I did that was to, in fact, rather than looking forwards, look backwards, look back towards like the dawn of the automotive industry as we know it, and imagine what that would have been like if we had always had electric motorcycles and electric cars since the 1890s, the early 1900s. It's easy to do what you know, and that's very reassuring and it's familiar. But I think in some ways as a designer, you need to fight that. Because of my 25 years, I think I have quite a lot of confidence in my design skills. And there's seldom a problem that I can't solve. But my process seems to be paint yourself into a corner and then work out how to get out of that corner. If you make a motorcycle look like a conventional motorcycle, you're going to expect a conventional experience. And electric is not a conventional experience. It's kind of slightly heretical to admit this, but you really don't miss gears as much as you think you would. In a weird way, if you're not worrying about gears and what gear you're in. You spend more of your time thinking about road positioning and smoothness, so you end up just riding better in a way. Literally whatever situation you find yourself in, you are always in the right gear. And then all that power, when you go to, for example, go to overtake, and the thing is like, it's like a little jet. It's an experience that takes quite a bit of getting used to when you first try it, because you're used to accelerating on a gasoline bike and you have to change gears and there's a gear snap and your eyeballs get to return to the front of your head, your guts kind of get to return to the front of your body, and then the acceleration starts again. But with an electric bike, it's just relentless. You just punch it and it just keeps going and going and going. I mean, the closest experience I have to that is probably skydiving, because it just doesn't stop. So, the idea with the design language for the XP was to try to express some of that quality of the ride experience, that almost jet-like experience, that you literally just twist it and it goes, bang. No hesitation, it's direct drive. And so the name XP, which is borrowed from the aeronautical industry, it's short for experimental or experimental platform. And so that's expressed partly in the kind of jet-like quality, but also in some of the kind of colors and materials. So the XP uses a lot of aircraft-grade aluminium machined, and then, for example, the color, the gloss gray bodywork, is in fact a government spec color that the US Navy used for their experimental aircraft called Ghost Gray. AMS 36375, if anyone wants to look it up. But yeah, so this idea of it sort of almost being this sort of experimental aircraft, experimental landcraft, I suppose.